Hey guys, how's it going? Coderman here. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to make a quick intro and kind of explain where the videos were last week. So last week was school vacation for my son, and I had set up YouTube for the scheduled posting. So basically you just upload it and then you set a date. Well, unfortunately, automation kicked my ass, and I had set them for next month, which of course was not what I wanted. I should have definitely checked into it further when I was uploading them, but I was kind of on the run, and that's what happened. So I haven't stopped creating videos or given up on the channel or anything of the sort. I have a whole bunch of stuff recorded. So today's video is a little bit about how I went from a service business to a product business, and the similarities, and kind of how I've managed the differences and the similarities throughout the process. Now, I still have the service business. I just have, in addition to, added the product business. Hey guys, Coderman here. In a previous video, I had spoke about Dealer Copilot, which is my new company. And I know that a couple people have had some questions around, how do you go from a service business to a product? And one of the things that I really wanted to kind of touch on is I didn't go from one to the other. I still have my service company. We still do apps and websites for clients. What I've done is I've taken that experience and that knowledge of working with those people, and I'm now creating a new company with a friend of mine that is product-centric. So we're building mobile apps for dealerships, and our first one is now live and being used, and we're working on the plans for our next series of apps. And so far, one of the things that I've really found that's different is service. You end up creating what you believe that the client wants. Of course, they give you feedback, but you use your experience and build what you believe for that industry or for that client is going to be the most beneficial. Where with product, you really can't do that, because, now let me tell you why. What happens with a product is you have very specific users, your customers, using the product. And if you're not getting the feedback from them, if you're not building the product that they need, then they're not going to use your product. They're going to go use your competitor. Or if you are in the very fortunate case that you don't have a competitor, you're in a very specific niche, then they're going to be upset customers. They're not going to champion you. And especially when you're starting out a new company, your first handful of customers are, for lack of a better word, they're actually going to be the success or the failure of your company. Because if they're not happy, they're not going to talk about you, and they're not going to tell their friends and their colleagues and such about your product, your service. So if you're not getting your customers' feedback, you're kind of hurting your company. Now, what we've done is we created the product based on our own market research and talking with our target customer that would be using our product. We built it to the minimum specifications that they needed, and we immediately got it into their hands, real use, to get feedback on how people are using the product and to get feedback on maybe some things that we missed the mark on. But what we did was we were very receptive to all of that feedback. We didn't take any of it personally. We continued to build the product until we felt that we had a solid version 1, and then we shipped it. And that's a very important thing, not only because we ship the product, which of course you need to make money, but we knew when to stop creating version 1 and to send it out into the wild and continue to get that feedback. Because oftentimes what will happen, especially in your first company, is you want it to be perfect. You want everything to be the way that it should be. You don't want any issues, any bugs. You want perfect UI, everything. And it never works that way, because you may build something and you start to use it and everything's great, but then a customer uses it and they're like, oh, you forgot this, and now you have to add that. And that generally causes issues with your schedule and timing and all sorts of other downline things. Whereas what we've done is we've created the product. It's in the App Store. Our customers are using it. We're getting live feedback from real users. They are using our product to make sales and close deals on their own side of the business using our tools. And there's really no better validation than somebody using your product, giving you feedback and saying, this is working for us or this isn't working for us, and making those tweaks. Another difference between service and product that I found so far is in a service business, you don't have a lot of operating costs. When I'm building a website or an app or something, I go up on Heroku or Amazon and I spin up a new instance, free server. I get a database going, I get everything structured the way that the client needs, and we go off and complete the project. Very minimal costs. If it's a bigger client, we may spin up a paid server so that it has proper performance and SSL and a whole bunch of other, premium level stuff. But for the most part, there's really not a lot of operating costs. You generally get a down payment on a project, and if you're not, you definitely need to be doing that. I don't care if you're freelancing or if you have a software company or whatever. If you're providing a service, get a down payment for that service before you start. I do a whole other video on that, on getting paid and the way that I've done it over the years. But the main thing to take away is you have to get paid for your time up front. So you have a service business and you get paid up front. You do the work, you ship it, you get more money, everybody's happy. Hopefully you do more work with that person. Where a product business, it has, I don't know if you've heard of the term burn, which is companies' cash. How much of it are they spending weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever the metric is? The burn rate on a company that is a product-based company is so freaking hard compared to a service business, because you have market research, you have real servers, you have UX and UI, you have beta testers, you have quality assurance testers, which is separate companies you hire to look at your product. And all of this money has to be spent before you get your first customer. So you could spend a couple months worth of expenses out of pocket or through an investor or however you got your money without making a penny. And it really sucks, because what ends up happening is you start to really doubt not yourself, but you start to doubt the product and the viability, because you're like, what? We need to start making money because this is costing us money, or our investors are getting really pissed off that we haven't shipped yet. And what ends up happening is you start to make decisions based on when can we go to market, and you cannot do that. For the instance of Dealer Copilot, what Brian and myself did was we bankrolled it ourselves. We put our own money up to get all the legal stuff in a row, to do the production and development, to do the testing, everything. We did it all out of pocket. The advantage to that is we have full control of the company still. No one else gets to decide what we do. The obvious disadvantage to that is we spent our own money. And until the company starts to make considerable monies, we don't get paid for our time. It's the way that a startup goes. Both of us are fortunate that we have separate ventures, so it makes it a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of money. So that right there is a big difference between a service business and a product. Another thing that's different I found in the short time, I say short time, but it's been about a year, that we've been building this and been working, is team and who you work with. When you're freelancing, you can get somebody to work on a portion of a project and supplement the rest of the work that they do, and then the client never knows about them. Whereas when you have a product, what ends up happening is you have to put the top people on your team, especially those first 3 to 5 hires. those are going to be crucial to your success. So just like your feature set and your user testing and your user feedback are crucial, your first customers, your first hires are crucial. I'm sure you've heard the old adage, hire slowly and fire quickly. That's not only monetary. Of course you have to pay to have people come to your company and, wine and dine them and all of that good stuff to find out if they're a fit. But it takes time. And in a startup, when you're just starting out, all of that time spent on a bad hire could not only hurt your company financially, but it can hurt your company's morale, right? So if you have a bad egg in the product, everyone else is going to start to hate that person, and it's not going to do good things. So whereas when you have a service business, you end up having to hire somebody and they don't work out, you can just get rid of them and get somebody else, and the client's none the wiser. Hopefully when you're working with somebody, you've vetted them and you've worked with them on a smaller project before you bring them on to a really crucial project. But if on the outside chance you didn't, it's not really difficult to make up the work they've done or haven't done. Another difference that I found so far, a lot of my time is split up doing many different things. Now, like I said, I do this with Pixelbit as well, but I find myself with Dealer Copilot doing things that I just wasn't doing before. Market research, competitor research, revenue projection, because we have a monthly recurring revenue model. There's just a whole bunch of different things that go into running a product-based company. Whereas service, you can scale up just by getting more clients, getting more people in the door and building more projects for clients. Where a product-based company, you have to do a lot of interconnected research to really know what your next move should be, or what your next 10 moves should be. The last difference that I'll speak of for this topic is pricing. Wow, when you have a service-based company, you generally pay, charge by the hour or by the project or some other interval. Where a product-based thing, you either have a one-time payment, or you have, in our case, you have a monthly recurring revenue. Now, the advantage to the revenue model is you can kind of project and forecast a little bit on how much money your company will make, excluding your churn, which is people signing up and then quitting, or being with you for a while and then quitting. But overall, you have an idea of what you should be making for the month. Whereas in the service business, unless you have maintenance contracts and things like that to have monthly recurring revenue, you have to really essentially have client after client coming through, and you really only can guess. For instance, I can say that today we'll get a project, we'll get a $30,000 app project, but that project might not start for 2 months. Despite our best efforts to get it going, things happen on both sides. We may get the down payment and then the project may get delayed, so we have to hold. Then the project may get going, we may be almost to the finish line, and the company that we're working with has a restructuring and that project gets scrapped. So now we have to either finish it up in a shortened timeline, or it gets delayed again. And all of these delays result in less money every month, because if I was expecting, let's say in the example of a $30,000 app, if I was expecting 15 up front and 15 on delivery, and delivery doesn't happen for 3 months past the estimate, well, that's 3 months extra where I better have some other projects, or I better have some cash in reserve. Whereas with a product-based company, you end up having a recurring revenue, or you have a forecast of how many products you're going to sell if it's a one-time fee. And you can ramp up sales, you can, touch your existing customers. There's a lot of different avenues where you can get sales. You can, if it's a service-based product, you can have, a sale, which I don't really like that one. But you can run an ad spend, or you can reach out to your existing customers and give them a deal, or whatever it happens to be. There's a lot of different ways to make up a difference in your balance sheet. So I hope this video was helpful. It's a bit of a longer one, but I really wanted to drill down to the differences between a service business and a product business. Hopefully you found this valuable. If you're starting out either one of these, or if you're in the middle of one and you have a question, leave a comment below. If you're new here, please subscribe. And if you like this content, or if you dislike this content, please like or dislike respectively. It gives me feedback to know what content's resonating with the viewers.